Alrighty, folks. As you make your way in, find a table that calls to you, that has a theme on it that aligns with what either your organization works on or you think your class could work on. So we'll start in a minute or two. Okay, find a seat, everyone. So we are going to get started in a minute. I know the prompt was sit at a table with a theme that most aligns with your organization, and everyone's like, but I align with many of these themes. We'll have a chance to get up and move around, so don't worry about that, okay? If you don't know me, my name is Cassandra Reed Van Dam. I am the Essential Education Experience Manager here at Michigan Tech. And Erin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Erin Barnett. I'm the Director of Programs for the Keweenaw Community Foundation.
Yes, and we are really excited to be here today to help facilitate this mixer opportunity between community partners and faculty and staff at Michigan Tech to generate some ideas for the essential education experiences. So I'm just going to do a very brief kind of introduction to what these classes are, so it will help you frame the types of projects that will be most, that you could think about developing. And then we will break into some small group discussions at your table. You can, we'll have an opportunity for you to get up and switch themes or change partners if you'd like about halfway through, and then we'll have a share it at the end. So first of all, what is an essential education experience? This is a new type of course within the essential education program that you've been hearing about today. So these courses they're 3 credits. They're upper level, upper division course, and they're really meant to prepare our students for this ever-changing and dynamic world by providing them opportunities for hands-on experience working with society in some kind of way. So that could be a campus partner, a local community partner, or something even like a study away, study abroad, a global interaction. And so these courses are really designed to increase student social awareness and global understanding and cultural competencies so that we're fostering those skills of becoming a lifelong global citizen. And we're being really explicit about that within our essential abilities, right? That skill of engaging in civic life, creating, innovating solutions. These things are skills that our students need to take with them after they graduate and into, their work, but also their personal lives as well. And so these are some of the requirements. Like I mentioned, there are 3 credits. So these are, there's going to be more time that students can dedicate towards these projects than kind of a 1 credit opportunity. There are regular critical reflection assignments. So these are the requirements that are given to faculty that I'm sharing with community partners as well. The reflection is really meant for students to kind of think back on what that hands-on experience meant to them and be able to keep applying their learning throughout the semester, throughout whatever the time period of the project is. And about half of the course time, this is the guidance that we're giving, is dedicated to this project. For some more direct service, that can look like almost 65 hours of direct service. This could look really different for something that would be more of like a remote project that they're working on or a kind of consultation project as well. Faculty are required to teach best practices for stakeholder and community engagement. So we really want to make sure that that is shared with our students and that they also are hearing that from community partners as well. And then these courses are going to be interdisciplinary. So they're in our social sciences, humanities, arts, our business school. We have some projects up in forestry and our applied ecology programs. But the point is that they are bringing in these multiple viewpoints and perspectives into them. And so we're at your table, but before we jump into these discussions, I think part of the reason why Erin is here and why Keweenaw Community Foundation is here is because we recognize the importance of bringing a community partner in on this work. Erin, do you want to talk a little bit about just how Keweenaw Community Foundation has been involved?
Yeah, sure. So I've been meeting with some partners, and there's more meetings coming up over the summer. I'm reaching out for you to schedule those meetings. But one of the topics of those meetings, there's several, is to talk about E3 and what opportunities might exist. So I'm creating a catalog of opportunities of things that are on the horizon for our community partners, so that if they come in if a faculty member shows up in Cassandra's office and needs an idea or has a half-baked idea, she can look and see, oh, this might be a good fit. Let's connect. So be thinking about what that might look like for you in the future, because this will be like a year out from now. What are those needs for the partners? And then the other piece is just helping to facilitate conversations. I meet with Cassandra almost every week. We talk about, what barriers we have, what successes we have, how we move forward. So we're just collaborating very closely to ensure that things are as smooth as possible for both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And part of our work together, and something I've been working on with a group of faculty members as well, is creating resources for faculty and community partners to co-create these projects together. So after the symposium, we will send out those resources to folks, and you can, maybe after these initial connections, you can kind of use those tools to help develop out some projects. So these are the theme tables in case you didn't see all of them. We're going to dig into the mixer aspect of this workshop. So we have health and wellness, social services, historical preservation, local heritage, arts and culture, youth education as well as adult education, environment and sustainability, civic engagement and social justice, economic development, and then governance and policy. So at your table, make sure that there is at least one faculty member there, and then we will dive into these kinds of table discussions. So I want everyone to give kind of an introduction of their name, their organization. What are some basic projects that you are working on that you think would lend themselves well to working with student groups? Remember, it could be a one-off kind of volunteer opportunity, but it could be a longer thing like a research project or an idea of, doing some kind of capacity building, organizational development for your organization itself. And then after those introductions, maybe partner up with someone where you think, oh, wow, we could really be aligned. It doesn't have to be partners. You could do in groups of 3 or something like that. And then discuss some potential partnership ideas. At each table that has one of these little stanchions, these placards, there are some discussion prompts on the table to help you think about what are some of these bite-sized projects that we could work on together. So starting off with what are some of the pressing concerns, how can people be involved, and then after about 10 minutes we will switch partners, and at that point you can also switch what table you're at if you'd like. So I'll put a timer on and tell us when to switch, okay? Thank you.
So when we meet, I'll talk to you about what's your capacity? How many students would you like to work with? An idea? What would that scope of that project look like? So that we can start putting together some thoughts. And that way, if a faculty member goes to Cassandra and says, I need 30 students, and I'm in, historical preservation, we can look and...
If you haven't already, you can start talking about projects.
Coordination.
And we did provide sticky notes at each table that you can start writing down ideas for projects, for course project partnerships.
And at least it can be capacity building for you, like website updates, grant writing, So
we have some grant writing classes that are becoming experiences. So
yeah.
Is that grant
right.
writing?
But I always tell people
I just want to bring people's attention really quick. You have Post-it notes on each of your tables. As you're discussing project ideas and collaboration, please take note of different ideas that are coming up, whether it's, I just heard we really need someone to help with marketing, right? That's a great kind of course project. And then at the end, we'll share these out. So you can go back to your conversations for about 10 more minutes, and then we're gonna, about 8 more minutes, and then we're gonna do a share out, okay? Please. Those sound great. Just I think bringing in guest speakers to talk about leadership or nonprofit management, for something like that, and then we'll do a share out in a little bit. Okay, take 30 seconds to wrap up your conversations.
All right, we're out of time. We're going to move into the share out portion. All right. So is there a volunteer table that would like to go first, or would you like for me to identify? No?
Sure.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me? Or should I go up?
No.
Okay. So my idea is, I haven't written anything down though, is to work with community partners. I'm in the College of Business, to have larger class sizes and have community partners present different projects that they could use the students' help on. And specifically from the College of Business standpoint, so we have 8 different majors. So it's where they go and present different ideas, and the students are in projects, and at the end of the semester, they present to the community partner a deliverable to help with whatever that project may be. And my aspect would be kind of going through the whole, how do you interact with the community? What are the best practices? So that would be the lecture portion of this, but a majority of their time would be working on those projects.
So did any ideas bubble up specifically about what those projects might look like?
I was talking with Tom from Quincy Mines, and he has multiple different aspects where we could have say we have a group of business students and they want to do a marketing campaign, or going and talking to the community, and this is what Quincy Mine is educating the community for. This is what they can offer to the community rather than just being a tourist destination. With Asako for the library, it could also be a community base, but it could be promotional videos. So this is what our public library offers. This is the different events that are happening. And then with Deb from Michigan Works, she has many different projects of how do we best represent the community. How can Michigan Works be a resource that is easy to use, and what is their view in the community, and how the students work on those different aspects.
Great, thank you. And what was your table? What topic were you guys?
Economic development and workforce.
Great, thank you.
Cool.
All right. Is there a table that'd like to go next? All right, what about health and wellness?
All right. Well, so we invited, because health is not just medical side, we invited social determinants of health. So we brought social services into our side as a little collaborative already. I think we're designing the class already over here of figuring out how do we help. One idea had been our MLS students or lab science students do blood drive. Many of you may know we have some blood drive on campus. How do we engage the community in that and help the students, have the students almost excited as a class of what are the pieces you need to be able to do something like a community level blood drive? What are all the different pieces you have to figure out, and get almost a guidebook at the end and say, here's what you can do to replicate this in a different community, as well as different ideas of analytics that our communities need, because a lot of our social needs organizations are very small. I mean, it's the things of like, there's food pantries run out of a church closet kind of thing, and this person does this, and here's the guy that builds the ramps. And how do we actually get better connections so that not everybody's trying to do everything, but the needs in our community are being met. So understanding what the needs are, as well as being able to figure out how we do that. There's tons of different things. I don't know, that's one part. And the communication piece of that. So we also have communication, because if you don't tell people about it, it doesn't exist.
Great, thank you. About education. Do you have a spokesperson? Don't make eye contact. That's how that happens.
I'm gonna call on someone. So
I guess we kind of just talked about different projects that we're all currently working on, and collaborations between us.
Yeah, and the fact that education, whether it is youth or adult, it's many different possible organizations. It's not just focusing on necessarily K through 12 schools or lifelong learning aspects, but there's multiple organizations around the community that could tie into other, say, nonprofit organizations that are in the area that may be looking to find a way that allows youth to connect with the local region. They're kind of a place-based sort of connection. And so we were just basically building up our network as we sat here, so.
Nice.
Great. All right. Governance and policy.
So we talked a lot about the ordinances for the local communities that are needed to be updated or developed, created. We talked about the policy and like how that would go. I imagine that it would go from starting in the classroom and looking at these things, preparing them, maybe drafting something, bringing it forward to the local municipality or council or to the Congress, whatever it is for, and then presenting those and learning from that process how actual laws and policies are implemented.
And also, we talked about the capacity issues a lot of local governments have that we could help fulfill that. They don't have a legal or policy staff on hand. A lot of other agencies do. So we could help fulfill that. We actually covered a wide range of things, from ordinances all the way up to the challenges of ag. So there's we had a lot of good discussions here. I think we're ready to go.
All right. Historical preservation and local heritage.
Well, I think we had the benefit of the fact that we've all been collaborating already for a long time. And so we spent a lot of time talking about the sustainability of it and how to scale up and improve the way that it functions and how, because it articulates, all of these activities articulate with institutions, museums, and heritage sites with education, with economic development, tourism, and all sorts of other things, with cultural and natural resources in the region. And we focused on some issues about how we can avoid burnout and overwhelming local partners, which are primarily all volunteer-based, and professors who may have 8 or 9 different obligations that they're responsible for at the same time that we're all trying to work together. By building a more sustainable way to interact and focus our energies in a stable way.
So what does that look like? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I have ideas, but one of the key principles, just as an example, is that in our work in the past over the years, we tend to build it around these situations that involve undergraduates and graduate students, all working together, sometimes in summer events that are then supported or continuing through fall or spring. And in this situation, what that means is we can come up with all kinds of ideas theoretically to pursue, which we then do. But then the phone rings and someone says, I have $8,000 in a grist mill in Iowa, and for supporting graduate students, that means we're going to go do that. And so to find ways working together to create a synergistic effect between undergraduate and graduate student and sustained relationships between our groups may involve building a more complex relationship between those different levels of work. Yeah. And part of it was the value that having Michigan Tech office where someone as a partner can just call to say, I have this need all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And where the Michigan Tech officer can then facilitate those connections is going to be very valuable and important.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Arts and culture.
No one's at that table.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Environment and sustainability. I know we have that table.
So we have been talking as like local, smaller nonprofits, different ways that student bodies can help kind of expand the reach and capacity that we had. So some of the things we came up with were like grant writing needs, and students who have the time to help initiate grant writing opportunities could be really helpful. We had also heard about website design as a potential for computer science students to help nonprofits that don't have the resources to do their own good website work. And then there was talk about like, for taking on larger scale projects, there's a lot, especially in the environmental sector, there's a lot of big scale work that needs to get done that's kind of outside the scope of small scale nonprofits. And when big projects and ideas come up that are outside of scale, there needs to be some like first level of consulting for things like that. So students who are capable of taking on like a preliminary consulting project to get the ball rolling for local municipalities and townships, organizations that can't do that sort of thing on their own, get that into motion, that would be like something that would be very helpful to the natural resources side.
I'll just add that we have the Copper Country Recycling Initiative people who are looking for help on their projects. We have Wild Ones Keweenaw chapter here, and then the Keweenaw Invasive Species Management area. And I can speak for us to say that we are looking for students in mass who can come out, learn about invasive species, ID, removal practices, and proper disposal, and the impacts that invasive species have on all of us, from humans on up to all the wonderful local beings that we need to support. So please, if you're a professor and you're looking for people or students to learn about environmental issues from the invasive species side, KISMA, which is actually part of TEC, they're our fiduciary, but Keweenaw Invasive Species Management area is happy to host quite a size of people to help with our projects across our trail systems and on.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
I just want to add one other thing that came up as we think of these bigger issues. One of the challenges we've always faced is that everyone's time is limited, so the students have limited time. This E3 class opportunity creates a moment where if we're really thoughtful about it, we can actually pair classes. So for example, in talking with Quincy Mind, we had a conversation about creating an E3 class that could pair with an enterprise team. And now students have 4 credits of time that they can dedicate. Or it could be with like an ecology class, where now they have 6 credits worth of time that they can dedicate, and multiple faculty mentors. But there's an order of magnitude complexity because you can't guarantee the same number of students in each class and all of that. But yet the opportunity is there with thoughtful planning to do that kind of dovetailed planning for very large pictures.
All right, great. We've got 2 minutes left. I think all we have left is civic engagement and social justice. Is that right?
We're all looking at me. So this was a great group. We have representation from the Finlandia Foundation's various entities, Wildwood Garden, student leadership and involvement, wearing many hats, League of Women Voters. So I'm designing a course, so this is for as like a nonprofit, and might have students working with them. I think I'd like to just like pull them in and do a seminar that includes their service time or their project time, but also we'll talk a lot about nonprofits and community. How do you understand how systems work, how do communities work, how do you work with people? And I'm an anthropologist, so kind of coming from that angle. But what else did we talk about? We have lots of things going on as student leadership and involvement, everything from making a different state, a spring break trip, to registered student organizations, and we're always thinking of like small, like nonprofit projects, and then so bringing them into to kind of pilot some of this. But I think there's potential there for other faculty to all of those opportunities. Anything else I forgot? Okay.
Awesome. All right, great. Thank you. There's some really great ideas bubbling up here. Like I said, I will be reaching out to community partners. I've already started that process. Feel free to be proactive and reach out to me if you're super energized right now. My email address is up there. I'm happy to give you a card as well, so we can start brainstorming and helping Cassandra make those connections.
Yeah, so definitely for after today, we'll send out some resources. Another really great thing, like Erin has talked about, is having these one-on-one meetings with community partners to kind of think about what are these one-pager projects that we can then have a file of to be able to share out with faculty. And I'll be working with faculty to help them do kind of the same thing of like, what's a one-pager I can present to a community partner. So we're doing some matchmaking, and thank you all for being part of this mixer. There will be lunch in this room shortly, so feel free to get up and walk around, and thanks again.